Hello, hi, how are you? And welcome to another podcast by George. And today we've got a friend of mine, probably one of my youngest friends, Brody France, on the podcast. Yeah, Brody, tell people now, am I your, excluding relatives, am I your oldest friend? Think about it.
You definitely are my oldest friend.
Well, I like that. And before we get anywhere else with the podcast, I want you right off the top, tell everybody how good a hockey player I am. Because everybody thinks, well, I'm a senior or I'm a Special Olympics player. I don't know what they think. But, Brody, I can play.
You can play, and you have the smarts to play, too. You always know where someone's going to be. I love your little passes. You catch the puck on the end boards, and you just turn to the middle and throw it to the middle because you know someone's going to be speeding up the ice.
If they know how to play, and if they know that they're playing with me, because what I tell people, there ain't much dingle-dangle with me, and I'm not likely to take it end to end. I'm probably going to get rid of it. So you got to be looking for that puck. Brody has played with me for a number of years. He was a standout high school player. For guys that know something about hockey, Brody's kind of a power forward, or he can drop back and play D and be an offensive defenseman. And he's a good player, and he's young, and he's a good friend of mine, and I'm glad to have him on a podcast by George. So what's on Brody's mind? What's top of mind? What do you want to talk about?
One thing I know we both have in common is our love for the Red Wings.
Yeah, and what a season, what a start for the Detroit Red Wings. Folks that don't follow hockey, Brody and I both like the Red Wings. They had a lot of glory days back when Brody was very young, and I caught on to them really after the Gretzky and Lemieux era ended, and Stevie Y was lighting up there with Detroit, and they won Stanley Cups. My God, I think probably, and the reason for the echo in the podcast today, folks, is because we're at the gas lamp again, and we're out in the patio area, so that's the echo in the room. But I would have to say that the Red Wings, at least going back to maybe the 1980s, have hit rock bottom.
Absolutely, I agree.
What do you make of it?
I'm not sure if I want to blame it on the coach quite yet. They're pretty young still. They're trying to rebuild. I don't know how well they're doing it, but they're trying to rebuild. I think it might be the time for Ken Holland to be relooked at as the GM, honestly.
Yeah, he's gotten a lot of criticism because he kind of sat and fiddled while Rome burned. It might be the best way to describe it. The team was in decline, and he seemed to be fixated on just making the playoffs. And as a GM, that makes a lot of sense because that's where the money is. Yeah. And they made the playoffs for 25 or 26 years. But the last several years they made the playoffs, which didn't include last year, by the way, they were not very good. They needed help. They needed to go out and get new players, and they just kind of stood pat with Henrik Zetterberg and what he had left. The good news was they made the playoffs for 25 or 26 years. The bad news is now they ain't got much. It ain't looking good. I think, what were they, 1-6?
I think they're 1-6-2, so 2 overtime losses.
Yeah. I used to, I still do. I correspond with Helene St. James with the Detroit Free Press, and she covers the Red Wings regularly, and her insight is very good. And one thing that she would say that people have to take into account is the exodus of Nick Lidstrom.
Yeah.
I didn't realize to the extent that he was holding that team up when they were fading, when they were in the 23rd, 24th, 25th years of the playoffs. They made the playoffs largely because of him.
I think he made everybody around him a lot better.
God, he was good.
I think he made Nick Cronwall look a lot better than he really is. He is a good defenseman, but I think he's getting too old.
Yeah.
And he's really declined in the past few years.
Well, he gave Cronwall the license to play the Cronwall game, which was, he used to join the rush and he would go up and just kill people, which oftentimes, let's be honest, and he's suffering the ill effects of it. Now, they take him out of the play, too.
Yeah.
It was okay because Lidstrom was there, to cover for him while him and some other guy exploded at center ice along the boards, but it crippled Cronwall also, and that's why he's on one leg now and has been for several seasons.
Yeah.
I'd hope that the young players, particularly after the preseason, and it just goes to show you can't put any. I mean, that kind of makes you wonder why they even play it.
Exactly. I was just saying that today with my brother.
I mean, they were undefeated or had one loss.
They had one loss in the preseason.
And they looked good, and they were fast, and I thought, okay, maybe we can get by with these kids. Hell, maybe we'll make the playoffs. And then the regular season starts, and they got nothing.
Mm-hmm. They have absolutely nothing. I don't see the reason for the preseason bringing up the young players and seeing how they play so well against higher-end talent and then just putting them back in the AHL.
And it's gloomy. I don't know how they're going to get out of it. They got the Rasmussen kid up there. He's 6'6". He just tore up junior, but he needed to spend some time in minor pro, it looks to me like. His minor pro audition is in the NHL, and he's not looking too good.
The one guy I am impressed with is Cholowski. Dennis Cholowski.
He scored some goals, and he looks good back there on the D.
He had an early start. He scored like 4 points in his first 4 games.
And they needed some help on the D line. And they got Mike Green coming back. He's often injured. He's been injured the entire regular season. And even Helene St. James at this point says they're not making playoffs. My God.
I don't believe they'll make the playoffs.
If it's this early and you've already given up on the playoffs, that's bad for a fan. They got that brand new, beautiful facility. And Brody has the distinction of being at the last game at Joe Louis Arena. What was that like?
It was probably the coolest hockey experience I'll ever experience. I had chills through my spine the entire game. It was the loudest hockey game I had ever been to, and there were people crying in the stands. There were chants for the Joe the whole time. It was awesome.
Yeah. And I had been to the Joe. I haven't been to you haven't been to Little Caesars Arena yet?
Not yet.
No, I'd love to see the new building, the new facility, but it's a multi-bajillion-dollar new arena, and they've got a team that is dead last in the NHL that isn't going to draw a crowd. I'm glad I'm not carrying the paper on that thing, I'm telling you. But, they'll do all right when they get the team's fortunes turned around. And all these things are cyclical. If you'd have talked to Detroit Red Wing fans back in the 70s and 80s, they'd have thought that they were never going to come to prominence. But thank God for Stevie Yzerman. And a lot of people are looking at Dylan Larkin and thinking the same thing. They're thinking he's a captain in the wings and he's the next Stevie Y and he's going to lead this team out of the depression and into the light, and it's going to happen here in the next season or two. But I'll play the devil's advocate for you. And I like Dylan Larkin, and I like his attitude, and I like everything that he says and how hard he tries. But he has not excelled at the NHL level yet. I mean, if we're pinning our hopes on him, it's kind of a pig and a poke.
Yeah, he had his rookie season where he was one of the top rookies in the league, but you expected that many points from him his rookie season. You expect more later. He's just stayed at that level almost.
Do you think it's because of the cast, or do you think it's because of him? I mean, I don't know. They're putting the whole future of the franchise almost on that guy's shoulders, and he's an unproven commodity still, I think.
I do think it could be the cast, but I also think it could just be him. He's one of the fastest players in the NHL, and if they put him along with Andreas Athanasiou, who is probably the fastest player in the NHL, they could beat anybody.
Yeah.
They just use their speed.
The league is so competitive, and it's so good, because when I look at the Red Wings, you got Jimmy Howard in net. Jimmy Howard is good. He has played well. He's got his detractors, but I don't care. I mean, there's one thing I do know about the team. Jimmy Howard is not the reason for the problems that they're having. He plays well. That guy's good. You've got defense core that needs help, obviously. A lot of people don't like the Big E, Erickson. Cronwell's hurt. Mike Green is seen the better part of his glory days. Cholowski's shown well. I like the little guy. Number 2 on defense, I can't think of his name.
Jensen.
No, that's 3.
Okay.
Jensen's got size and he can skate well. No, the little guy that they brought up just this year, and he's been filling in. He's only 5'8" or something like that. I mean, he's a great little defenseman. I can't think of his name. But he struggled at the NHL level, and the team, one win And I think it was OT.
Yeah, it was.
That could be a miracle, maybe. They could turn it around and get it going, but the rest of everybody has a tendency to look at their own navel when it comes to sports. They look at their team and their players and how they're performing. Well, okay, look at the rest of the league. My God, look at Toronto. Yeah. I mean, what a powerhouse that is.
Their power play is unstoppable.
Unbelievable. They got Tavares. I don't know how they turned that around up there. They took Babcock from the Red Wings. And they got all of these things that other teams don't seem to be able to get. Maybe it's because it's Toronto. They've got money, obviously, but they go get the best coach in the NHL. They go get maybe one of the top 3 centers in Tavares.
Yep.
Bring him onto a team that's already pretty good with Austin Matthews.
Young talent, too.
Yeah. And so there they are. You got Winnipeg. I've seen Pittsburgh play this year. Pittsburgh's always good until they get beat up because they're smaller, faster guys.
But they'll always be there at the end.
Yeah, because they play with guts and they get glory. And my God, did you see the OT winner with Crosby the other night?
Yeah, I did. I did.
How do you do that in the NHL? That'd be hard to do in men's league.
I couldn't do that.
What kind of balls does that take to dingle-dangle like that in front of the opposition net? I mean, you do that and you get your ass handed to you.
Especially in 3-on-3, because that's asking for odd man rush the other way.
And he's had concussion issues, and it doesn't make any difference. He's there. I mean, that's great. Well, I don't know. I'm there with you, Brody. I'm hoping the Red Wings can turn their fortunes around and get it going in time for the playoffs. But after this worse than bad start, it probably ain't going to happen. So
I agree.
It's depressing. Well, anyway, so the thing I wanted to talk to you about, because there's nobody that plays more pickup available hockey than I do at my age. I mean, I play all the time. So you guys had a high school team that was very good.
Yep.
You guys, you went to a national tournament. What was the deal with that team?
We went to 2 national tournaments, my sophomore year and then my senior year.
Yeah, very good team. And I remember when I was in high school playing baseball, it became readily apparent to me that I probably was not good enough to take it any further. It reminds me, you remember the movie Moneyball?
Yep.
Remember the line in there's something about there comes a time when every man has to, it's time to quit.
Mm-hmm.
It's time to, so what do you think about playing men's league now as opposed to that highly competitive, very successful, very good high school teams that you had?
Well, I think our men's league is very competitive, and that's why I like it a lot. I don't think I would want to play if it was us going out just to have fun, because I just have that competitive drive. And I don't know if it was playing for the Oak Leafs that gave it to me, but when I play hockey, I want to win and I want to play hard. That's the only way I know how to play.
Yeah, I agree. I have a little bit of a connection to that, because after I got out of high school baseball, and we had pretty good teams, some guys wanted to play slow pitch softball. And I played a little of that, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. I mean, that's terrible. I mean, that's mostly a drinking game.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't want to play slow pitch. So, I get that.
And I play slow pitch, and I get so irritating playing slow pitch, because the kids on my team will jog to first base. And I'm like, if you ran that out, you would have been safe.
Yeah. It's a different world. I mean, it's great for people that have never played the game competitively.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the same thing with the hockey game. But like you say, our league is very competitive. It's a good level of hockey. It's all you want and then some sometimes. It doesn't have the physicality of it, obviously. You can't hit. What do you think? How does that? Because you're kind of a physical player. So does that bother you that you can't play that part of your game's been eliminated?
It does not bother me at all. Honestly, playing that way beat my body up.
Yeah.
I broke my collarbone. I separated my shoulder. I have a few cracked wrists.
Yeah. So I separated my shoulder too. My God, does that hurt?
It is not fun.
That really hurts, man. People always just a separated shoulder. I don't know. I've broken a knee. I've broken a finger. I've done some. That separated shoulder is a painful injury.
So I'm happy not hitting. I'm okay with just barely touching if we're playing hockey.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
It's still a good game.
We still play hard.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get hit, but it's not as hard as someone trying to hit you.
Yeah. Well, this is great. I love talking hockey, love talking Red Wings. Well, so give us, what else is Brody France? What are you thinking about? What's top of mind? Give us a little something for the podcast here, maybe that isn't hockey. How old are you, Brody?
I'm 24. I just turned 24 like 2 weeks ago.
All right, so I could tell you what was on my mind when I was 24 years old, but I'd have to use the explicit rating for my podcast. So I don't know if I want to do that or not. But, and I got to admit, you guys are playing a competitive sport at a higher level than I did when I was 24 years old. I was, I started playing golf when I was about 25 or 26. When I was 24, like I say, other than that slow pitch softball, I wasn't playing much of anything. So.
Do you still golf?
I will, but I can go a couple of years without playing a game.
Yeah.
Golf is not well suited to me. Golf is a game that is very good for people that are good at self-hypnosis almost. They can put themselves almost in a meditative state and go out and, like the Chevy Chase line in Caddyshack, be one with the ball or whatever, and not let bad things that are bound to happen on the golf course get to you. And certainly you don't ever want to get mad. Now, hockey, if you get mad, you can use that to your advantage. Yeah. Sometimes things will work for you if you do that. If you get mad playing golf, it never works. And I get mad a lot. So golf is for cool hand Lukes. I'm not a cool hand Luke. I'm a hot hand George. So the hot hand works in hockey, but it ain't working on the golf course. So I don't play that much golf anymore.
I'm a pretty big golfer. I say I probably go 15 times a year.
Yeah.
I live right next to a golf course, so it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
But I'm not very good.
Well, you got to be smooth. I think I read it was Sam Snead or Ben Hogan or one of those old great golfers that said, guys that are good ballroom dancers, guys like that are good golfers. I mean, it's all about being liquid, oily, smooth. That's not. I'm kind of jerky. That's not me.
I'm the same way.
Yeah, that's good. Well, we'll keep tuned. We'll wish the best for the Red Wings. I'll update that as we go through the season. Here's the thing. We'll revisit this. We'll come back, and I'm hoping maybe by, let's say, the All-Star break or something like that, they're back in it. They're within shouting distance of a playoff spot. The young guys have come on. The D-core with the veterans back is solidified. Jimmy Howard continues to play well, and all is good in Hockey Town.
That's hopeful, but we'll see about that.
Yeah,
we'll see.
We'll see about that. Brody France, my buddy, maybe one of my youngest buddies and my teammate in men's league hockey, on another podcast by George.